So in the last section, we were looking at angles. Remember, we were using our protractor, measuring angles, all that. We're still looking at angles in this section. We're looking at a few vocab words, complementary and supplementary. Okay, for some reason, along with bisect, remember I talked about bisect as a very commonly forgotten vocab word in this class. Complementary and supplementary are also difficult to remember for some reason, and I don't know why. So over here, they are on the whiteboard in the corner. Supplementary is equal to 180, complementary equal to 90. We're also going to be talking about linear pairs in this section. So complementary angles just mean that the angles add up to 90 degrees, supplementary being 180. So looking at these two pictures, which one, the right or the left, are the complementary angles? Yes. Yes. Okay. Not rocket science. They happen to add to 90, so they are complementary angles. Okay, these ones being what?
Supplementary.
Yes. Okay, they don't have to be touching. Okay, notice these angles aren't touching each other. These ones are. It's just what they add up to, and they have a fancy vocab word that goes along with them if they add up to 90 or add up to 180. Adjacent are two angles that share a common vertex and a side. So right here we have a vertex and a shared side. So these ones are the adjacent angles. These ones are not touching, so they're not adjacent. Okay, the homework is going to ask you if something is adjacent or not. Well, this is a picture of showing yes they are or no they're not. Okay. The other word, vocab word that I said we were going to talk about was linear pair. Okay, a linear pair is angles on a straight line together. Okay, so linear pair would be this one as well. Anytime you see a straight line, you know the angles on that line add up to 180. From here until the rest of the year, and believe me, you will see this multiple times throughout the year, I'm going to assume that you know if you see a straight line, you know the angles on it are going to equal 180. So you're going to add them up, equals 180 at the end. All right? So that's called a linear pair. That's also over on the list of vocabulary words commonly forgotten in geometry. So that is always up there for you to remind you of that. Questions on this? So this one right here has three vocab words linked to it. They're supplementary, it's a linear pair, and they're adjacent. Okay, so all three vocab words relate to that picture. Questions on any of those words? Well, let's actually link some algebra to it then. So on the next page, we're going to solve for x. So we have the geometry here in the picture. We're going to change it to algebra using what we just learned on the previous page. Okay, what kind of angles are these together? What's the new vocab? Okay, complementary. We're going to shorten it to comp. Okay, just to practice using those vocabulary words, so hopefully you won't forget them. So what can we do to make this into algebra? Yes?
61 degrees plus x equals 90.
Perfect. Okay, so we took the geometry, which is the picture up here of the angles, turned it into algebra, and now we can solve, which is very simple, because you're all algebra experts. 29. Okay, all they're asking us to do is solve for x, so we're done at this point. Questions? How did we know they were equal to 90? Yes, the square in the corner. Okay, remember that square in the corner means 90 degrees. This one doesn't have a square or any sort of picture or any clue, but how do we know? Yes, there is a straight line. Remember, anytime you see a straight line, we know they add to 180. So this one, we add them together because they are supplementary. We know it's 180 degrees. Now I want you to write the wrong step next because I saw a lot of this on the quiz. I want everyone to write this in a different color and write no. Tell me why I can't do this. This is a review of algebra. Why is this wrong? Yes? You have to add up the variables on the same side, which is called combining like terms. We can only subtract like this if one is on the left-hand side of the equal sign and one is on the right-hand side of the equal sign. These are both on the left. You cannot do this. Okay, so let's go back and actually do what we're supposed to do, which is combine those two, 157. We'll subtract that. And get 23. Okay. Questions? All right, let's try two more before we learn one more vocab word. I'm going to give you a 60-second head start on setting these up now that you've seen the examples up above. So I'm going to give you a head start. You may not finish, but all of you need to be writing, setting these up and solving for x. Hopefully you purchased calculators this weekend if you didn't own one before, because you will not get an integer answer. It will be a decimal or a fraction. If you get done with the first one, I want you to start the next one. Your 60 seconds is almost up. What is this answer? That sounds like it's about right. Questions on this one before we look at the next one? Did we all get the same answer? Okay. This one is different only because of the number at the end. Okay, otherwise the process is the same. I believe it's 18.2.
18. Yep.
Questions. So homework, you're going to be doing problems like this, but it's going to start even more simple. It's going to give you, in the directions, it's going to say, you have complementary angles 1 and 2. Angle 1 is 50 degrees. What is angle 2? 40. Okay, because in the directions it said they were complementary, which means they add to 90, which we just learned today. So don't overthink the problems when you're reading the directions. It's going to start very basic, and then they'll get into setting up some more algebra like this. Questions on complementary, supplementary?
No.
Okay, then let's learn the last vocab word, which is vertical angles. Also something you're going to see all year. Vertical angles, their sides form two opposite rays, and the angles are what we call opposite each other. I'm going to give you one pair of vertical angles, angle 4 and angle 2. See where they are? They are opposite each other. You could also think of it as two V's on their sides, which would go with the vertical angles. That's how most kids remember it. What's the other pair of vertical angles then? Yeah. Questions? Okay, we answered that question right up there. This is the important part. So I want you to highlight this. What does congruent mean again?
Same.
It's another word for same. Okay, equal or same. So what do you think the algebra is going to be with vertical angles? How would we change it, the picture, into algebra with vertical angles? We're going to add them together and set them equal to 180? What will we do with vertical angles? Good guess, not equal to 360. What would we know about angle 4 and angle 2? They are the same. So what would we do as far as an equation goes?
Set them equal to.
Set them equal to each other. That's what I'm looking for.
Nice.
So looking at the last picture here, I want us to set up 3 equations based on what we learned today. What is the equation that goes along with this idea right here? The vertical angles are congruent. Which ones are the vertical angles on that picture? Yes. Mm. These right here are vertical because they're straight across from each other. They're opposite each other. What are they?
Equal.
Equal to each other. So I want everyone to get this equation because this one is true. Why can't we solve this one? Two variables. Okay, that's kind of an issue. Okay, but there are 2 other equations we can set up based on what we learned today. Maybe some linear pairs here. What could we add together? Mark. These 2 right here are on a line together. Does everyone see that? So they are a linear pair. 2x plus 15y equals 180. There's another linear pair. Yep. That would probably be a good one to start with, wouldn't it? Notice these 2 right here are on a line together, so that's another linear pair, which would equal 180. Why would the blue one be the best one to start with? Yes.
Got one variable.
Correct. It's actually solvable. So let's do that.
So smart. I am.
What do we get?
What?
35. Now, what did the directions tell us to do?
I don't know.
Solve for x and y. We're halfway there, right? We have x. How are we going to find y now?
Put it in for x.
In either one?
Yeah.
Will we get the same answer if we do the black one or the red one?
Should.
Yes, because they are both true. So you can pick whichever one you want to plug that x into. Tell me which one you want to do.
Black one.
Okay. So we have 35. We're going to put that right there. So we simplify this. Remember, we found this x right here. So if you want to draw an arrow to there, that's where we're getting the 35 from. 110, no, 105.
That's a lot of numbers.
Add them together. And what is this?
Make your way. Wanna go to the one? I did it.
So now we have our 2 answers that they asked us to find. Using everything we learned today, which is 3 things. Complementary means what?
Equals 8.
Supplementary.
Equals 180.
And vertical.
Equal.
They're equal to each other. So that right there, these 3 things are how you're going to be focusing your attention to see where the problem is going to head, how it's going to be set up. Okay, if they're complementary, they're going to be 90 as a total, supplementary 180, vertical angles, you set them equal to each other. Remember, vertical angles are opposite each other. Questions on those 3 things?